AP example that he gave in class? Any of this stuff? These are the quizzes. If you guys want, we could go over those as well. Do you guys want to start with the exam or these quizzes? It's up to you guys. Okay. Guess we'll do the exam first. Okay. Do you guys all have this file, or do you guys want us to send it in the chat so you guys could follow along? It's the winter 2026 first exam. Let's see here.
Hello, can you guys hear us? Just testing. Okay. Professor provided the exam in the Discord.
Oh, cool. Okay. Did he give the solutions or like no? Because if he didn't, then we're gonna go through them in this session. But if you need help with like more basic stuff like the quizzes, we could start with those. This is a little tougher than the quizzes and other stuff. Just want to see what you guys want to do.
Let's go through the exam.
Sure. Okay. So hopefully it'll be the same format. There's 2 questions, I think, here. And he lets you use some string methods, array list methods, and other methods you might be privileged to know. But we're just going to use the methods that he lists here, or that you guys learned. And 1A says, complete get big rows method. The get big rows method analyzes a 2D array of integers and returns a list of which rows in the array sum to a value greater than the number of rows in the array. Okay. For example, he gives us a 2D array here, and it should return 1 and 4. And what is a 2D array? A 2D array is an array of arrays, and the indices of the arrays are 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And so if we call get big rows using this 2D array here, it should return 1 and 4, which are these 2 arrays. And why does it return these 2? Well, it says the elements in those arrays should sum to a value greater than the number of rows in the array. What is the number of rows in the array? In the 2D array, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So whichever of these 1D arrays in the 2D array add up to something greater than 5, then we return that, essentially. So the first one here, 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3. So that's not greater than 5. That's why 0 is not in this list. For array at index 1, we have 3 plus 1 plus 2. That's 6. 6 is greater than 5. So that's why 1 is included. For this one here, 7 minus 7 plus 3 is 3. 3 plus 1 plus 1, that is 5, not greater than 5. And then 5 plus 7 plus 9 is greater than 5. So 4 is also included in our answer. Okay, so now that we kind of analyze what we're supposed to be doing, let's start writing the method. Now, are you guys comfortable with Java notation and stuff like that? Or is this like the first exposure to it? Well, I'm assuming you all did the quizzes, and hopefully those kind of taught you a bit about the syntax. This here's the method signature, and he already gave it to us. We're returning an array list of type integer. So that's this over here. That's our answer. This here's the method name, and this is one of the parameters. In this case, what we're inputting, which is this 2D array over here. And that's why it's two brackets, two sets of brackets in Java means a 2D array, an array of arrays, essentially. Okay. So then how do we write this? Before I write it and walk us through this, does anyone want to give some insight? Don't be shy. If not, we're going to go ahead and code it here. So let's see here. This is our 2D array, and we want to return an array of the indices whose sums are greater than the size of the 2D array. So how we're going to iterate through this is using a nested for loop, because we know the we know the size of the array. We can get the size of the array, and so we can use a for loop. If we didn't know, then we can use a while loop. So before or we could initialize our answer over here already. We know we're going to return an array list of type integer. I'm going to call it solution. And when we initialize an empty array list, this is the way to do it usually, is to just say new, use this keyword new to instantiate and a new object, basically. And then we use these two sort of, I don't know what you call these brackets, pointy brackets, and then we use parentheses. So this creates basically an empty array list. And what are we putting in the array list is whatever is in these pointy brackets, which is type integer. So now we're going to iterate through ARR, starting with the rows and then the columns. It's always going to be like that. Always rows and then columns. So, and the way we write a for loop the same way we were taught in CS111 C++, it's the same syntax. So for some integer I, starting at 0, I is less than. Now we need to get the number of rows. So to get the number of rows, it is always going to be ARR dot length. Sorry, not the method, the variable. So that always gets you the number of rows in a 2D array. So we're going to say ARR dot length. Okay. And then I++ to iterate through all our rows. Okay. So now we're starting to loop through the rows. And then we want to loop through the columns, because just having the array of rows is not enough. We want to get each individual element in that row. And so that warrants us to loop again, this time through the columns, not the rows. Okay. So we're going to do another for loop. But this time to get the number of columns, so this is rows, columns would be ARR at I dot length. And this is, sorry, this should be J over here. ARR at J, at I dot length will get you the length of that's the array at index I. So the array we're currently at. And J stands for the column. So so J would be less than ARR at I dot length. Then we go J plus plus. So this should have been taught in class. This is basically how to iterate through a 2D array. Now, what do we want to do? We want to sum up all the individual values. And how are we going to do that? Before this, we're going to initialize a new variable to 0 first. And then we'll say sum is equal to sum plus, and then we want the individual value. And so how do we reference that? We say our 2D array, add the row first, which is row I. We iterate through each one, and then add the column, which is J. So that'll get us this one, then this one, then this one, and then this one, this one, this one, and then etc. Okay. So then we do that for each row. And then once we're done with that, we want to compare, but this is once we finish looping through all the columns in the row. We want to compare, is the sum greater than the number of rows in the array? Or AKA the length of the array, the length of the 2D array. So we're going to use an if statement. We're going to say if sum is greater than ARR.length. Well, then if it is, then we have to add that row index I. We have to add that to our solution list. So if it is, we're going to say solution dot add. This is a method of the array list class. It basically appends the element to the end of the array list. With regular arrays, you can't add. You cannot change the size, but with array list you can. So that's something nice we have. So we're going to say add I, which is the index of our list. Otherwise, we're not going to do anything. And at the end, we should return solution. And then we should close the method here. And I believe this is, oh, wait. We should also reset our sum before the row finishes. We have to reset our sum. So sum equals 0. If you don't do this, then it keeps adding to sum. So for instance, I'll give an example. It'll say 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3. Then it'll go on to index 1. So I equals to 1. And then it'll do that 3 that we already had plus 3 plus 1 plus 2. So it'll never reset. We need it to reset to 0. So that's why I did this line. And that's pretty much it. If you want, you could try to type it out, see if it runs. But yeah, we are writing on the screen here. It's quite different. Any questions on any of this? Any questions on like why I did something and which any of the methods we used, or anything in this method. Okay, if not, then I'm gonna transfer over to Suleiman, who's gonna go over 1B, which is gonna be another method that you would have to write. All right, I'm gonna stop the share, and then Suleiman, you could start your share.
Sounds good. Alrighty. Someone give me a confirmation in the chat that you're able to see my screen.
Not
Someone?
yet.
Not yet. Can you see it now?
Yeah, we can see it.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so 1B is asking complete the remove duplicates method. This method keeps the first copy of each word in a list and removes all subsequent copies of that word. For example, consider the following list. I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them. Sam, I am. After running the method, a list of words consists of I do not like green eggs and ham, them, Sam, am. Okay, write the remove duplicate method using the signature below. All right, so public static void, remove duplicates, erase string words. Okay, before I get started, do you guys only learned what array lists are, right? You don't know what like hash maps and all that jazz is, right? I just want to make sure I'm not teaching the wrong things. No, okay. So this becomes a bit more difficult without hash maps, but we still manage it. I do not like green eggs and ham. Them, Sam. All right, let's try to do this. Okay, so a bit of a what am I saying? Oh, so the solution I'm doing it right now, it might be a solution that I think is viable, but I want to reiterate that like I think someone mentioned that the professor did go over this question in class that there are multiple ways of doing these questions. Like, well, not like you don't do it wrong, obviously, but there are different ways of achieving the same thing, right? So just because you see the way I do it is different than the way the professor does it. It could be the way that the professor does it. It could be that the way the professor does it is much better than the way I do it. So by all means, follow what the professor does. But say you want to prefer the way I do it, then by all means. So what we're going to do first is, so we know it's void, right? So we're not going to return anything. Basically, all it's doing is changing to words. So here's what we're going to do. We're gonna first, later on, we're gonna loop through. So we're gonna do for, let's say, word. You guys know what a for each loop is, right? For each versus a regular for loop. Vitals. Everyone here knows what a for each loop is? I'm just quickly go over it. So a regular for loop is you have for int I is 0, I is less than some number, I plus plus, right? And that's when you like know how long something is. So for example, we could use a for loop here where we know where you do I is less than words dot length. But we could also do a for each loop. So we can do for string, well, let's say word, and words. So now this is going to be going through each word in this array list, and then we could do whatever we want with it. So now what we're going to do here is, so what methods are we allowed to use? Remove, okay. Okay. So what methods do you know from? What we're gonna do here is, so let's do a strategy. We have to declare something like, say, a place where we could keep track of words we've seen already, right? So let's say that's another array list. Array list string seen words, right? Equals new array list. Good. Why do we need this? Is because we have to keep track of what words we have seen. Because it's not like we could it's saying we have to remove only one word. We have to remove duplicates of words. So the word we're removing isn't going to be the same every time. It's a group of words. So we have, for example, I, do, not, and like. Those are words that are repeated. So what we're gonna do here is I'm gonna assume that you guys know the methods contains, and if you don't, we quickly explain it. We're gonna do that like we're gonna do it like this. So if seen words does not contain, actually let's do this. If seen words contains the word we're at right now, then what are we gonna do is we're gonna remove it from the original words array list. So words that remove word. Okay, and then that's it. Is everyone okay with this? Everyone okay with this? Is this a solution you went over in class? This is a solution that first came to my mind, but is it a solution? Does it match?
No, in class we went over a two loop solution.
He went over the two loop solution.
Yeah. So
Okay.
iterate forward for the words and then iterate backwards in reverse for removal. That's fine.
Okay.
I don't think the class has seen the contains method for.
Okay. So
Correct
let's
me if I'm
do
wrong.
it that way then, if that's the case. Let's redo it here. So you want to walk me through how we did it in class? Or anyone who wants to?
Let me look at my notes again. First for loop, just I equals 0,
Mhm.
increment to length. So I'm just opening up.
What was that?
I'm just opening up my notes.
No worries. So the two loop method he's using is, how can you use a two loop method? Iterate forward, see all the words. Iterate backwards.
And then after that one, we're going to do a nested for loop from setting j equals words dot size method -1. And then the second condition is j is greater than I. And then
So
decrement
I need
j.
you to run me through it one more time. So the first for loop is for int I is 0, I is less than words dot size,
Yep.
I plus plus.
Yes.
Okay. Continue, and inside that is another for loop.
Yeah. Declare j equals words dot size -1.
Uh-huh.
And then condition j is greater than I.
Oh, you're right. J. Oh, never mind. J is greater than I. Okay.
And then decrement j.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Now in this loop, we're gonna do if words dot get element I
Mm-hmm.
equals words dot get element j, then words dot remove j. And that was the complete solution.
Word dot remove J. J, right?
Yes.
Oh, is it?
Or sorry, words dot remove. Is it the element? Let me double check. Yeah, it's removing the element at index j. So that's
So,
correct.
okay. So index J.
Yeah.
So in here, I think this one, ignore this one. Yes, very good. Ignore the solution. Okay. So this is how this is in class. I don't want to assume you guys know any extra methods and he has already given. So I think this is the best solution. Okay. Thank you, Emil.
No problem.
Does anyone have any questions about the solution? Maybe how it works? Any questions? You want to run through this example and step by step and see how it works? Any questions? Vitals? I know Ramil's got it because he went through it with me. Anyone else? We'll call out names. Farhan, Alex, Ramil, if you have any questions, let me know.
Honestly, I think it would benefit the group if we kind of iterated through it just so we can visualize what it looks like. Like if we just kind of wrote out each step what's happening because I think it's kind of complicated. Like, yeah, we can memorize this algorithm,
Uh-huh.
but if you don't know how it's actually working, you're probably going to have a difficult time recreating it.
I agree. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to use this example right here, and we are going to iterate through this example. So this is going to be I is purple. We're going to let J be this nice blue color. Is it blue? I don't know. All right, so here's what we're going to do. So we know I is 0. So I is right now first iteration. I is 0. And now we're going to have basically the inner for loop. Okay, so now J is going to be here. So right now, this is the first iteration. I is 0. This is I. And then J is here. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go backward. Okay, and each element. If the element we're on already matches the first element, right? Think of I as like the first instance. Yep, first copy as I. Right, so that's I. Let me actually color code it. That's going to be I, right? First copy. And if we have any later copies, which are J, that matches I, we delete it. Okay, so let's go through one example of it, iteration. So am is good. I, we already see it right here. So gone. Sam, them, like, not, do, I. Gone. Ham and eggs, green, like, not, do. And then we're back here and we don't hit this I again because we're right above it, in front of it. So now that was the first iteration. Does anyone have any questions about that first iteration? Basically, we set I as this first element. Like the colors, I want the colors. Um, Set I as this first element, and then we start J from the end and go up to the word right after the element we're on is I. And if we see any copies of this element, we delete it. Okay? Any questions about that? We'll do another iteration right now.
But is that why J is more than I?
Yes,
Okay,
that's
that makes sense now.
that's precisely why. Because J, we're going in reverse. The colors, Solomon, the colors. J, oh, that was J. No, that wasn't. J is going in reverse, right? So it's kind of like we're always checking. I is always going to be the first copy of any word, right? And then we're going to check J from going forward to back to see if any copies of this word exist later on. If they do, we'll remove it. Let's do one more example to kind of ram that notion in. So now the next word is do. I is here, and we're going to start J again from the beginning. Bada bing, bada boom. Right here. So now we go. Am, Sam, them, like, not, do. We see do. Do matches. Gone. Ham and eggs, green, like, not. See how it's working? Next iteration. I'm going to speed run these next two. Because hopefully you'll start seeing the pattern. Now I is 3. I'm sorry. I is 2 because we started 0. That's on me. So I is 2. And now we're going from the beginning again. G is from here. J is from here. And now we go. Am, Sam, them, like, not. Not matches. So delete it. And then ham and eggs, green, like. Okay. One more iteration, I think, and we're done. Now I is 3, right? So what do we see? We start J from the beginning again, right? And you see, as we're going later and later, we don't even have to worry about if a word appears multiple times again because it's being deleted. So after each iteration, I only appears once, do not only appears once, not like they only appear once, right? So let's go backwards. Am, Sam, them, like, delete that. Ham and eggs, green. Okay. And then we have green. Green doesn't happen again. So even if we go backwards from the beginning with J, it doesn't see it again. Then eggs and ham, them, Sam, am. And we end up with this array. Are there any questions? Any questions at all?
No, thank you for explaining it. It makes so much more sense now.
No problem. No problem.
Sulaiman, you
Just
mind if
quick
I,
question.
sorry,
Go
you mind if
ahead.
I comment real quick about this?
Yeah, what's up?
Um, this this process that Suleiman just showed you about how to iterate through that, that's probably where you want to start, is figuring out what the algorithm is before you translate it into your code, because that's another mental step that you have to take. But now that you walk through that process and figure out that strategy, now you can kind of think, how do I need to loop? And like, doesn't one loop go within the other one? Is there another way to do it? So I think that that'll help you from getting stuck with trying to memorize like one way to do it versus being able to actually think mathematically about how you would tackle a problem.
Exactly. Exactly. All right, Alex, you had a question before we move on?
Yeah, just as a quick, I know this method doesn't return anything, but let's say we were asked to return the words that we removed. How then will we add them into a new array? We have to create a new array list, right? And then,
Yes. So your question is saying, okay, so you're asking if we want to return the arrays that are removed. I'm sorry,
I
the
mean,
words.
the strings, yeah, the words.
Okay, so if you want to return the words that are removed, then you would have to declare a new, like you would have an array list here. So like we would have, let's say array list string. Let's say the answer equals new array list, or let's say like this, removed words equals a new array list, right? And you would add them. Any words are removed here, we would add them to this array list, and we would return that. Say you want to return a new list with only the words that are not removed, then you would have to you would do this, and then you would basically copy over everything from words into like say updated words, right? And you would copy everything like after this from words into updated words. But the thing that makes it good here is that in Java, which is why I prefer Java over C++, is the issue with pointers. I don't have to like worry about where words points to. We know that implicitly. If I have array list string words, it'll work on the words I pass into the array, I mean into the method. But yeah, hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, it does.
All right. Is there any other questions, Isaac, Amber, Alexis, to the iPhone user? Farhan, any questions about this question?
Uh,
Concerns?
yeah, I actually have a question.
What's
So,
up?
you see for the first iteration, right? When we have eyes less than words that size, since we're
Hmm.
removing like an actual word because of the second for loop, aren't
Hmm.
we like also like the words that size also changing after every iteration? Isn't that like uh I don't know if that's right or wouldn't that I don't know, I'm kind of confused there.
Okay, so I see your question. So you're saying that if we remove a word here, would that impact this size?
Yes.
That's basically, well, okay, so think about this like method, this statement right here is like we're basically want to go from I up until the end of the array. So even when we remove, sorry, I forgot semicolon, don't forget semicolons. Even if we remove a word in the inner loop, that won't really affect this right here because even though it will change what word dot size ends up being, because if I'm not mistaken, I think we're still good because I will still be less than words dot size even after we remove, right? Like for example, in the first iteration, when we removed use the colors in different color. When we removed these two i's, originally the length of this array was 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. What? I'm losing count. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 16. Okay, originally I would go from 0 to 15, right? But even when we remove this I and this I, the new length of the array becomes, well, the last element becomes 13. I is still 0, so I would still be, if I increase I by 1, 1 is still less than 13. So even if we remove an element, it won't impact this because I is still less than, because that's the whole point of um this for loop being structured the way it is. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You mind if I comment on that again?
Sure, go ahead.
And then for each iteration of that for loop, words.size is getting reevaluated. So every time words.size is getting smaller, so that also prevents us from going out of index. So it's not the original. What was the original number? 14?
I think
Yeah,
the last element is 15, I believe.
15. Yeah. So if we remove two words, it would drop down to 13. That evaluation. The next time we remove one word, it'll drop down to 12. We never risk going above the size, the current size of the array. Or sorry, it's an array list, so it's a list, not an array.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty much, yeah, that's basically it. Someone in the chat. No questions? No questions? All right, sounds good. Daniel, do you want to take the next question, or do you think I might take it? Do you want to?
Yeah, sure.
Feel free. I'll stop sharing my screen.
Sure. All right. Okay. Do you guys see my screen? Good. Right. Wait 1 second. Okay. So the next question says, now we're in question 2. How do I get rid of? Okay. It says, consider the following method. It does not work as intended. And he gives you a method. It's not returning anything. Have string. It's just changing the value of our parameter to supposedly half its length. And then it's saying, consider the following code segment. String cat equals Oliver, have string cat. And it says, write the value of cat at the end of the code. Okay, well, let's look at this. Cat is Oliver. And then we're calling have string and we're passing in Oliver. So we're passing in Oliver to str here. And then we're setting the value of the parameter to half its length. Now, what you need to know about this, or about any parameter in Java, usually it is passed by value, not passed by reference. Meaning that when we passed our cat over here, it didn't actually pass the memory value of this string object. It passed over a copy of it into the method. So it gave a copy, but the actual string still exists in memory by itself, and it's not being edited by this method at all. And so what will we get at the end of this method? Really nothing, because we're doing the substring, sorry, my pen is, okay. We're doing the substring on the copy, and then void doesn't return anything. Just change to the copy, and then the value of cat will stay Oliver. The value of this cat will stay Oliver. So it's a tricky question, but it just tests your knowledge of the fact that in Java, we pass by value, not by reference. Any questions about this one? And if we wanted to write an appropriate way to do this, we would return some sort of string here, and then we would say cat is equal to have string cat, and here we would return string. This would be fine. Here we would return. But just doing it with a void method and doing it to a copy is not going to do anything to our original. So any questions on this one before we move on? We'll just get rid of some of this stuff. Okay. So we're going to move on to 2b, and it gives you a string cat equals to Tom, some integer sum equal to 0, and then it's looping 4 times. And we have some try-catch blocks here. Try-catch blocks are basically, it's basically what it says. It's going to try to run this code here. If it runs into some arithmetic exception or string index out of bounds exception, then it's going to do whatever is in those code blocks instead. All right. So let's trace through this and see what we get. The value printed by the code. So he's printing sum. Okay. So let's see. We're starting at int I equals 0. So I right now is 0. And we're trying to do sum plus equals to cat dot char at I. So that's this t, the capital T. Divided by I is what right now? I is 0. So divided by 0. Now anything divided by 0 in math, that is undefined. And so that throws in Java something called arithmetic exception. And then we will be running this code over here instead. And what does that code say? Sum is equal to sum plus cat dot the char at I. So just sum equals to sum plus what is the char at I is the t. But when we're adding characters to integers, it's going to add the decimal value of that character in the ASCII table. So we have to look for t. T is right here. And the decimal value he gives us is 84. So this t will be 84. Right now, sum started off at 0. So 0 plus 84. And sum will be 84. And then we can keep looping. Our second iteration, I is going to be 1 this time. I is going to be 1. And it's going to try to do this O now. O divided by 1. Okay. What is O in our ASCII table? O in the ASCII table is this one here, 111. So 111 divided by 1. So sum equals to 84 is what it was already, plus 111 divided by 1, which is 111. And then we get 195. Okay, no exceptions thrown this time around. So we just keep going. These catch blocks are ignored if there was no exception. And then I is 2. I is going to be 2. That's this here. And it's going to say, again, sum plus equals the M is here, 109. So 195 plus 109 divided by I. I is 2, so divided by 2. 109 divided by 2. Originally, that's going to be 54.5. However, in Java, especially this is an int, when we divide an integer by an integer, our result has to be an integer. And in Java, integer always gets rounded down if it has a decimal. So 54.5 is going to just round down to 54. So 195 plus 54. And that's going to be 199, 249. 249. So sum right now is 249. And then let's keep going. I is going to be 3 this time around. And is 3 less than or equal to 3? It is. Note the s less than or equal to. We keep going. However, cat.char at 3, this is 0, 1, 2. 3 is already out of bounds for our string. So this is going to throw string index out of bounds, and it's going to go to this catch block instead. So we're not doing this anymore. We're doing the catch block. And it's saying sum equals sum plus I. So sum equals 249 plus whatever I is. I is 3. So 252. Now I gets iterated to 4. Is 4 less than 3? It's less than or equal to 3. It's not. And so that's it. We're done with the loop. We print sum. So what is printed eventually is just 252 as an integer. All right. So that's how we would trace this code block here. Does anyone have any questions? And I think he does give the ASCII table on the test. If he gave it for the winter class, he should give it to you guys. Obviously, there's no memorizing there. Any last questions about 2A or 2B? If not, Suleiman, do you want to do the next one, 2C? Or should I continue?
Sure, I can continue if you want to take a break.
All right, no problem. I'm going to stop the share now.
Which one you said? 2C, right?
Yeah, 2C.
Got it. All right. Let me share my screen. Okay. So 2C is asking, so 2E and 2C and 2D. The following method is supposed to count the number of, sorry, give me a sec. Following method is supposed to count the number of null elements in a 2D array of strings. It contains a syntax error and a runtime error. Okay. So public static int count nulls in a 2D array of strings. Int count is 0 for a string I in array 1. Okay. For string j and I. If array ij equals null, count plus plus. Okay. So right off the bat, any errors? Does anyone see? Anyone see any errors? Any ideas? There's one
Um,
that's cool.
in the first for each loop, the is passing a 1D array.
In the first for each loop. So for this one, you're saying it's passing a 1D array. For string I in arrays. Maybe. I think that is might be good because remember a for each loop basically is like think of like a for each loop as that we have a container of objects, right? And we want to get each object in the container, right? So what we're passing in array, technically that's an array. Let me actually do this. It's an array of arrays. Right? So technically, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong here. We This is saying for each array in this array of arrays. So it's like this is I, first array, second array, dot dot dot. Right? So I think that could be good, but the issue, if you look at it, Is there anyone want to point out any other issues before we try and point out the first one?
Yeah, I recommend looking at line 5. Look, what type of variable is J?
Hmm.
Does
So here,
anyone see it?
see how we have array ij? In 2D array, you could use if these are indices. But look here, I is an array and j is a string, right? So it never, this won't work. Right? So this will give us an error right here. That is a syntax error, right? By changing only one line of code. Array.
Wait, there's a quick question.
What's up?
So J is not an array because of the brackets?
Okay, so let's quickly go over this. If I were to put like array I j, right? If I do this, this is basically saying pointing to a specific portion of, or a specific position in the 2D array, because this is saying like think of it as like the row number, and this is like the column number. So this is saying which of these arrays I'm pointing to. So this is going to be i's, and then j is pointing to the specific element in the specific array, right? So for that to be true in the syntax, these both need to be ints. These need to be ints, right? But if we look here how they're declared, look. Oh, I can highlight things. Give me a sec. I is a array of string. It's a string array, and j is a string. Right? None of these are ints. So this line right here, we technically can't do if array ij dot equals null, because I and j aren't indices of an array. These are just, they're not numbers. Does that make sense? Who asked the question? Alexis. Alexis, is that? Oh, no. Alex.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
A little bit. Are you still confused on any portion?
I think when I see the solution, I might be able to like fully get it.
Got it. But basically, the first thing I want you all to take away is that I and j for this syntax to work, I and j need to be numbers. They need to be ints. They can't be, you can't pass in non-integer values as indices, right? So let's write that down. The first error is that I and j are not int values. So they can't be used as indices for a 2D array. Okay? Any questions about that? And if you want to fix that, we'll have to replace that. We'll have to replace this line. Okay, what's the second error? Because there's two. That's most likely a syntax error. What about the runtime error? Any ideas? Trying to find it myself. Daniel, do you see where the second error is?
I was thinking dot equals for null. I don't think you can pass in null. I mean,
Wait, no.
maybe you can, but
Count the number of null elements in a 2D array of strings. It contains a syntax error. One second, let me check the documentation. Give me a sec.
no, yeah, it is. You gotta use the two equals for that. Like, because I'm pretty sure dot equals just for strings. It's not gonna like count the like compared to null. I don't think.
Yeah, you're correct.
So it's dot equal. Oh, okay.
Yeah, dot equals null is going to throw a null pointer exception.
But the professor mentioned a syntax error and a runtime. I'm trying to see where the runtime error would be. Because that's not...
That is a runtime error.
Yeah, that would be.
Oh, so okay. So all right.
Yeah, because the compiler doesn't catch it. It doesn't get caught until you run it.
Got it. All right. So then, is everyone okay with why that is? I think this one's more like you got to know what the method is, right? So we can't, if you want to use dot equals, you have to compare string to string, right? Let me just write this real quick. Um, dot equals only compares string to string, right? So it's like string 1 dot equals string 2. We can't pass in null for string 2. Okay, so right here, second error is we cannot use the dot equals method to compare a string to null. Okay, null only for comparing two strings. Okay, is everyone okay with these errors? Any questions? We pointed out the errors. Now we have to I think the method is null.
Yeah, you can use is null, or you can also do the equal null check.
With a string?
Yeah, because it's any you can compare any object to null, right? I think so.
Let's try it. Let's fix it. Let's fix it then. So the first we do public static int count nulls. We have a string 2D array. Okay. Count is 0. And then okay, so now first we would keep it. Let's keep it. Remember, we could only change this line, so we can only change the one line here. So string I in the array for each array in the group of arrays. Let's do for string j. I'm sorry, for string j in I. Right? Let's do it like this. So we're gonna do if. So now instead of doing array ij, we're just gonna check because right now the string is j. So if j, let's go like this, and hopefully it works. Then we'll do count plus plus. And there you go. The only line we fixed is this one. Right? Any questions? Did I do anything incorrect? Please point it out if I do something incorrect. Any questions? Any questions at all? Return. Oh yeah. Good catch. Good catch. Thank you. Any other questions? Or if I made a mistake, point it out. I make a lot of mistakes. So do tell, do tell.
Oh, just want to point something out. Does everyone see why we can't use dot equals? Why a null pointer exception would be thrown? Think about it. If it's null, it's not a string, right? If the value at that element of the second array is actually null, we can't call dot equals because it's not really a string. It's actually null, which doesn't have a dot equals method.
Everyone okay with that notion? Any questions? Any questions? I guess not. All good. All right. So I'll let Daniel take the rest of the exam. Wait, no. Try catch statement to fix the runtime error instead. If you don't know the correct exception type, you can write exception. Rewrite the code from 2C by using a try catch statement to fix the runtime error instead. So for this one, would it just be, holy smokes, they're late. Whoever just joined. Damn, don't copy that. Give me a sec. Give me 1 second. Please. Okay. So the person who just joined, fill out the form, please. Thank you. Rewrite the code from 2C by using a try catch statement to fix the runtime error instead. If you don't know the correct exception type, you can just write exception. Okay. Bottom. So we're gonna fix the arrays. Fix the runtime error instead. If you don't know the correct exception type, you can write exception. Let's try this. No, is it gone? It's gone. No, it isn't gone. What the hell? Just copy and paste this right here. All right, so everyone knows what a try catch block is, right? So hopefully you do. I'm gonna try, and we're gonna catch. Let's just say runtime error exception. Pretty sure that's how it is, right? Based on past examples. Yep. Exception. Okay. Gotta be E. Exception E will print out. Just say can't compare to null with dot equals. We'll do system.out. System.out.println. Actually, technically, you won't know the exception, so yeah, whatever. All right, so we're gonna put this in here. Damn it. No. While I do this, does anyone have any questions while I try to fix this? An OCD can never.
Is your runtime error exception just a placeholder?
Say that again?
Are you just typing in runtime error exception as a placeholder right now? For the exception?
Yeah. I'm assuming I don't really know the actual error exception name.
So Professor Steinberg saying that you should just use the most generic exception if you don't know the type.
Oh,
Yeah, so it would be syntactically incorrect if we use runtime error exception like that. But the actual error would be a null pointer exception, but you don't need to know that because you can just use the generic exception.
good to know. Good to know. But yeah, worst case, just use exception. That works too. I think this is good. Try catch fish runtime error instead. I think we're
But
using
we do have to revert it to the original dot equals, right?
yeah. But we wouldn't use this portion. We would only keep it dot equals.
Yeah.
And there you go. Got something. I forgot the return count. Where did I put the return count?
Shouldn't we return count outside of the try catch? I'm trying to think. No, maybe it doesn't matter because we're still outside the loop.
Yeah, I think 'cause what I'm
Yeah.
thinking is if you put the count outside the try catch, because technically, will it even update the count if we catch an exception?
We need to actually change something here. The try catch has to be within the loop. It has to be there because otherwise, the first time we hit the exception, we're gonna stop counting because that's gonna exit the loop.
Good catch. Good catch. Good catch. I knew something was wrong with it. I'm like, what? Why am I putting the try catch outside? My apologies. What am I doing? Try we catch an exception E. Right. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put it all outside. Int count for int. Oh. Okay. J and oh, it's not a review. Okay. Um, count. Okay. Where to be? Okay, so we would do try if j dot equals null. Um, plus plus, or what is it? Am I doing something wrong? Hold on.
That's looking good.
Try, okay. Catch exception E. And then I'm assuming we would also do count plus plus here. Correct me if I'm wrong. Does it look right?
Yeah, the funny thing is that it's only the only time it actually works properly is during the exception. That's the funny part about this. Is that if we only want to increment it when it's null, then it's only when the exception gets caught that we do it.
So it's correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I see it. So then once if it is null,
We're never going to reach that, right? We're never
mm,
going to reach that increment right there.
so we got to put an increment here. I hope it's right. Daniel, does it look right? This is a weird question. I don't know. It's weird.
The first count's kind of pointless, like Ramil mentioned, because you're never gonna reach it. But I mean, it's whatever. Because what else would you put in there?
Mm. All right. Hopefully this is right. Just confirming with the professor just in case. But I think we're
Wait, but
good.
it doesn't return the right count though,
Oh, it
because
does?
it'll say every element is bad, and it'll catch it all the time for every element, even if it's not null.
No, I think it's fine because if it's a valid string, um, we are gonna check if it's equal to null, and then it's gonna be false, right? Or
No, j dot equals null will always throw the
This
exception.
will always
oh
because you
Yeah,
can't compare with null.
yeah.
Trying to think of how to make it work.
Does he let you change the code, or?
He just says rewrite the code from 2C by using a try catch statement to fix the runtime error instead.
can
Oh,
anyone try evaluating that real quick on unfortunately I'm on my phone and iPad, so I can't run it. I'm just curious. I'm just curious if you can actually do string dot equals null.
let me check.
I don't want to derail the review over this, but I'm just really curious.
Wait, no, you
Okay.
can do dot equals null. That's funny.
It'll only throw an exception if the string itself is null.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
Oh
that's what I was
yeah.
highlighting earlier. Whereas
Oh.
instead, remember a null doesn't have a dot equals method, so that's a null pointer exception.
ah.
But you can check if a string is null. It's always going to be not null because it's a string
Let's
instance.
update this then. So we can't use it. Use a dot equal method
It's
for
really it's that we can't call that equals on a null.
oh, okay. Okay, that makes sense now. So this technically is correct. Because
Yeah, it's fine.
it'll increase the count anyways. So
Yep.
I think we're good. Any questions about it? This was a bit of a confusing process, so. Any questions? Any questions at all before we move on to the last question? And then you can do it. I will take the silent as everyone's good. Oh, also, I will post this later, but if anyone needs to leave early by any chance, I will be posting a feedback form. So if you want to give feedback on how the review session went, feel free to fill that out. So I will stop sharing and give the control to Daniel for the last few questions.
Okay. So Suleiman, do you know how to get rid of this list on the side, or does anyone know? It's on the pages list. It's annoying me.
Wipe it to the left.
I'm trying, it doesn't work.
Hmm.
Unfortunately. Yeah.
I don't use an iPad, so I'm not sure.
Oh, I see. Okay, no problem. Um, Wait, what if I do this? Oh, cool. Okay. Um, so the last question on the exam says, complete the following method. It applies a Caesar cipher to a string. You can assume it contains no lowercase letter, but it may contain both uppercase letters and other symbols. In the cipher, each letter is replaced with the letter n places after it in the alphabet, wrapping around from the end of the alphabet to the beginning. Non-letter characters are unchanged, and the value of n is guaranteed to be positive and less than 26. Okay. And it gives an example here. Apply Caesar cipher to Felix, comma 3 returns IHOLA. And so let's just trace that quickly. Basically, we're moving the decimal number of the letter. So we're starting with F to three places above it. 1, 2, 3 would be I, 73. So that's how he got this I over here. Now we're going to do the same for E, L, I. Then when we get to X and we do that, X is here. We add 1, 2, 3, but then we're at 91. And if we go above 90 or above the letter Z, we want to loop back to 65, the letter A. And so that would be our third iteration upwards. And then we would get A. So that's what this method does. And he gives another example with the word kitty and an exclamation point. The exclamation point is not changed. As you said here, non-letter characters are unchanged. Okay, well, let me erase the annotation. So there's a couple ways to do it. You could use if statements and basically compare your bounds, right? Say, is it greater than 90 and is it less than 65? Or you could use a modulo operator, which is used whenever we want to essentially, when we want to basically have a circular wrap or like a wraparound. And we're going to do it the modulo way, which is slightly more intuitive. It's also slightly more difficult to follow, but you can choose whatever way you wish. And we're going to start by, obviously with a loop, we're going to want to go through each letter at one at a time. One at a time, so that warrants using a for loop. And it does return a string. I wanna initialize an answer. So string answer. And we're gonna just start it off as an empty string. Okay, then we start with our for loop. I is less than input dot length. In the string class, the length is a method, not a instance variable. So that's why I put the parentheses. And so my logic here is to basically subtract from whatever our letter is in this range. We're gonna subtract 65 so that we're at 0. And the reason I do this is so that I could use the modulo operator. The modulo operator basically gives us the remainder. And so let's see what that looks like. We're gonna first, we want to get the character. So we're gonna say char c equals to input dot char at I. Okay, so this will get that decimal number of the character. So for instance, if I'm looking at Felix, we're looking at the first letter at index 0, and that's an F, so we're going to be at 70. Now I want to subtract by 65 so that I can mod by 26, so that I could loop around if I've reached the Z, which is our 26th letter. So that's what I'm going to do first. I'm going to do new value is the C minus 65. C minus 65. And then we want to add this increment to it, because that's essentially what we're doing to every single letter. We're going to add the increment, and then we're going to use the mod to see, do we need to loop around or not? So far we're not doing anything with the mod, really. We're just going to say, we're going to add the increment. Now let's say we have basically reached a number that's greater than or equal to 26. That's when we've fully basically above the letter Z, because we subtracted the 65. So if we're equal to or greater than 26, we're above the letter Z. Then we want to loop back to 0. So how are we going to do that? We're going to say new val equals to new val. We want to mod it by 26 for that purpose, so that it loops back. If the number is less than 26, meaning it is in the alphabetical range, that number less than 26 mod 26 is just the same number. That's one of the rules of the modulo operator. Okay, and then after that, we want to add back our 65. We want to say new val plus equals to 65. Why? Because we want to enter this range again. This range where we don't really need to use the modulo operator for the ASCII range for the capital letters. Okay, and then after that, we want to append the character at the decimal number to the answer string. So we're going to say answer equals to or plus equals No, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it will be new character Suleiman, if you're there, is this how you would get the character value from the decimal value? Or is there a different way?
I think that's valid, or you could just do implicit by just doing char in parentheses next to new val.
CHAR parentheses.
Like you know how you convert a double
Oh,
into
oh, okay, okay.
implicit? Yeah. But technically
Like
it
we could cast it.
yeah, typecast it.
Okay. Um, I forgot to do one more thing here. Before we do any of this, we gotta check if we're in the capital letter range because we're not doing anything on operators like they're not capital letters. So I want to put an if statement here. I want to say, or actually, I should say over here, if C is equal to, or if C is greater than or equal to 65, and if C is less than 91. So between the range of capital A to capital Z, then we would do all of this. Uh, else, we would just do answer plus equals to, or C is already a char. C. And then we can close the loop and we're pretty much done. We will return answer here after the loop. So the logic here, if you understand it, it's pretty elegant. If not, you could just use some if statements and uh, just a simple subtraction to get back to your range. But that is up to you. And there are more than one way of doing this for sure. Does anyone have any questions about this one? Well, that's it. That's the end of the exam. Any questions about any of the things we went over thus far? Yeah. Okay. Um, so Suleiman, was there anything else you wanted to go over in this session? Or if anyone has any questions, any individual questions they have.
I think the exam pretty much covers it all, unless anyone wants to go over anything else, whether it be quizzes or other material. Let us know if you want to go over anything. Anyone still in the call wants to go over any other topics?
You have any general tips for like time management, like or any other common strategies for taking these exams?
Um, I would say don't get too stuck on a question. First of all, because it is you got to write the code. I would highly recommend writing it in pencil. Do not try writing it in pen because if you write it in pen, you make a mistake. As you saw today, even we made a lot of mistakes. So it will be a really annoying thing if you just like to use a pen, then you have to like cross it all out and try to rewrite it all. So right there, I would highly recommend using pencil and eraser instead of pen, unless you have an erasable pen, but that's very unlikely. Um, when it comes to like pacing, try to like go through the exam first without answering any of the questions. see all the questions at first and try and figure out like the difficulty of each question, plan out which questions you're going to tackle first, maybe second, third, or fourth. And don't try to waste too much time on a specific question. If you're lost, like move on to the next one and try to come back at the end. Like you don't want to waste all that time on a question you're lost on, and then by the end you see, oh, you could have gotten, if you used that time, you could have gotten like two other easy questions. So that's tips from my end. I'm not sure. Now, Daniel, you got any tips from your end?
Yeah. Do you guys get like daily quizzes? I know Steinberg does that a lot, or no?
We get them in the labs.
Oh, I see. Okay. Um, yeah, usually the exam is uh it's like the same. Uh, he likes to take from like AP tests, the AP computer science. He follows their format, so like if that would be a tip, I guess you could use those to study as well. Um, I think they're definitely more rigorous practice for this class. So if you know how to do those, I think you'd be well prepared. I think Suleiman pretty much covered the tips pretty well.
Don't worry too much about the exam. You all seem to have got your stuff down. Don't stress too much about it. Take a deep breath, and whatever happens, happens. Just realize you'll get whatever effort you put in, and the fact that you guys are here at a review session shows that you're putting in the effort. So I wouldn't worry about too much about the exam. Try your best, and I'm sure y'all will do well. That being said, are there any other questions? Any other questions at all? Any last concerns? Questions, concerns, grievances? Oh, great question. Daniel, do you want to show where the recording will be posted, or I could pull it up?
Wait, what? Sorry, I don't know the question.
I'm just gonna quickly show where the recording is gonna be posted. So let me share my screen.
Oh yeah, my bad. Because I'm on the iPad. I don't
Yeah,
have the links and all that. Yeah,
no worries.
I can unshare if you want.
Okay, so in terms of timing for the recording to go up, remind me once again when your exam is gonna be.
Tuesday.
Sorry, that was muffled. What?
On Tuesday.
Tuesday. Tuesday. Well, okay. We will try to get the recording out by this weekend. We can't make any promises because once again, it's the weekend. So if you go to the QC Learning Commons website here, right here, you should see, I think, what is shown? Is it resources? Yeah, resources, and you got CSCI resources. And then here we have review sessions. 111 past, these are past classes. So, pretty sure if you click 212, these are spring 20. Okay, these are like past. This is up to fall 2025. So I think even, yeah, we did a past review for Oren Steinberg 212. So if you would like to watch that, feel free. But if it will be updated, it'll be probably here. So we'll have like spring 2025, spring 2026, and you'll see the recording for Steinberg's 212 here. And there's also other 212s like for lowered and other Steinberg midterms. So feel free to look at those as well for reference. And yeah, this will be where all the location recordings is. So if you know you take 211 or 220, 320, in the future, of course, but all the review sessions will be posted here under their respective class. Okay. All right then. If that's the case, I don't think there's any other questions. Please fill out the feedback form, and the feedback is very important for future review sessions. And yeah, good luck on your exam. I'm sure you all gonna crush it. Don't worry too much, and whatever happens, happens. Just try your best. Okay? And write in pencil. Do not write in pen. For the love of God, do not write in pen. All right. Sounds good.
Good luck, guys.
I'm gonna stop the recording.